And good evening on this Friday. Ukrainian officials had warned for days Russia would turn its deadly sights more to the east after failing to take Kyiv in the west. Today, civilians heeding that advice were brutally attacked before they had time to get out. We begin again tonight from the war-ravaged country. All week, this train station was packed with men, women, and children desperate to flee to safety. This image taken just 3 days ago. That same site, now a mess of blood and bodies. At least 50 people killed, 100 more wounded when the Russian missiles hit. Children's drawings left on the blood-stained floors of the train, at least 5 kids among the dead. The civilian death toll growing day by day with seemingly no end in sight. Gabe Gutierrez is on the ground tonight in Ukraine. He leads us off.
This is the chaos right after the gruesome attack. The train station in eastern Ukraine, now the scene of a massacre. This was no military target. The missile strike left behind bodies surrounded by suitcases, a stroller. These were refugees trying to escape violence. Instead, it rained down upon them. Ukrainian officials say the missile killed at least 50 people, including 5 children, and that another 100 were wounded. What did we do to deserve this man says. We're civilians. Just yesterday, the train station in the eastern city of Kramatorsk had looked like this, packed with thousands of people, mostly women and children, refugees heading west, warned by authorities to leave ahead of Russia's new onslaught, expected in the coming days. A senior U.S. defense official says the attack was carried out by a Russian short-range ballistic missile that was fired from inside Ukraine, part of it lying on a patch of grass. Russia is blaming Ukraine for the strike, claiming it doesn't use those types of missiles. Ukraine's President Zelensky calling it evil without limits and renewing his urgent plea for more weapons from the U.S. and its NATO allies. We are told that we have to wait while we are losing hundreds of people every day from Russian strikes, he says. While outside the northern city of Chernihiv, Russian forces have left, and there's now a backlog of burials. One by one, families agonize at this new graveyard, separate from the main cemetery.
Perhaps most heartbreaking, many of these don't have a proper headstone. Each of those markings in that field is another body.
More than 100 burials so far, and there are new trenches. Today, Zurikina Ludmila laid her brother to rest. Sergei was 55 years old and had enlisted in Ukraine's territorial defense just days after the invasion. Ludmila and her mother tell us he was killed less than a week later during a shelling at a school.
The Russians keep saying that they're not targeting civilians. Do you believe this?
These are not people, she says. They're savages. They'd waited more than a month to bury him. The constant shelling had made it too dangerous. He is finally at peace, she says, but she and her country are not.
The loss is overwhelming, and today's train station attack could be a preview of what's to come. President Zelensky has been warning that the Russian onslaught would ramp up in the eastern parts of the country. That's part of the reason why there were so many refugees at that train station. Well, now it appears that the Russians are redoubling their efforts for the eastern Donbass region after their defeat around Kyiv. Tom?
Gabe Gutierrez with a brutal new chapter in this war. Gabe, thank you. Next tonight, to a verdict in a case that shocked the nation. 4 Michigan men accused of plotting to kidnap the governor over COVID restrictions. Tonight, a jury said they didn't buy it, failing to convict any of the suspects. Was this entrapment? NBC News Justice correspondent Pete Williams has those details.
Prosecutors called it a plot born of rage to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer. But after 4.5 days of deliberating, a federal court jury came back with not a single conviction. Adam Fox, Barry Croft Jr., Brandon Caserta, and Daniel Harris were accused of targeting the governor because of her COVID restrictions. But the jury found Caserta and Harris not guilty of all charges in the kidnapping conspiracy. Jurors were deadlocked, unable to reach a verdict on the charges against Fox and Croft. The government can seek to try them again. The 4 were charged with planning to kidnap the governor from her summer home and blow up a bridge leading to it to slow the police response. Prosecutors said they practiced using weapons and conducted surveillance of the governor's home to prepare. But defense lawyers said the four were just big talkers, sometimes fueled by drug abuse, who were spurred on by no fewer than 12 undercover FBI agents and informants.
And pushing the conspiracy that just never was, never was going to be. Our governor was never in any danger, and I think the jury, even though they didn't get all of it, they smelled enough of it.
The verdict was a big blow to the FBI's use of informants in the case, but not a total shutout. Two other men, Caleb Franks and Ty Garbin, earlier pleaded guilty to conspiracy charges.
All right, Pete joins us now. Pete, how is Governor Whitmer's office responding tonight? And did this case essentially fall apart because the jury felt this was entrapment?
Well, her office did put out a statement saying that the plot to kidnap her was the result of what it called violent, divisive rhetoric that has become all too common. And it said without some kind of accountability, extremists will be emboldened. As for entrapment, that's what the lawyers argued in this case. They said the government basically overreached, egged these guys on, that they spent most of their time talking and being high on drugs and would never have been able to do this on their own. And apparently the jury accepted that, although we haven't heard from the jurors themselves yet.
All right, Pete Williams on that breaking news tonight. Pete, thank you for that. Next to the plane emergency at an airport in Costa Rica, shocking video showing a DHL cargo jet spinning out of control on a runway and then splitting in half. The pilot somehow managing to walk out of the wreckage. Zincle Esamoah has this story.
Tonight, shocking video of an emergency landing in Costa Rica. A DHL plane begins to lose control on the runway. It suddenly skids, doing a donut. The fuselage breaking in two as it screeches to a halt. Emergency services speed towards the wreckage, spraying foam to prevent any fire from taking hold.
Los bomberos responden rápidamente en cuestión de un minuto y logran la extracción de los dos pilotos que se encontraban aún en la aeronave.
The DHL cargo plane took off from Costa Rica's Juan Santa Maria International Airport on Thursday morning, requesting permission to return minutes later when the pilots identified problems with the plane's hydraulic system.
Based on the fact that there was a potential hydraulic problem, would indicate to me that the anti-skid system, which prevents wheels from locking up, failed on landing, and it looked like they were not going to be able to stop by the end of the runway. So they did an old-fashioned thing, which you usually do in light airplanes, and they ground looped the airplane. So they attempted to turn it off before they ran off the runway, where it can get dangerous. It probably hit some very rough terrain off of that runway, and the airplane wasn't designed to handle that kind of shock.
DHL saying in part in a statement, "We are pleased to report that the crew were physically unharmed in the incident. An investigation will be conducted with the relevant authorities to determine what happened." Meanwhile, for passengers, the crash closing the airport, creating massive lines outside, a small price to pay for the safe return of the plane's crew.
We always say every landing is a good landing, that people walk away from it. You know, they had an emergency situation. It sounds like the crew did the best job that they could. At the end of the day, this happens.
Zincle Esamoah, NBC News.
All right, we're going to turn now to the pandemic. It has been months since we've reported a 2-week increase in COVID cases. But a highly contagious subvariant is fueling a rise in infections, including in President Biden's circle. NBC's Emily Aketa breaks down the numbers and has more of the developing tools to fight this virus.
Tonight, cases are creeping up in a COVID-fatigued country, even infiltrating the Washington elite, including a growing number within President Biden's inner circle. 53 people testing positive after attending a formal dinner in D.C. last weekend.
Like anyone else, the president may at some point test positive for COVID.
The highly contagious BA2 subvariant driving the first 2-week increase since January. Cases have jumped by nearly 60% in D.C. and are climbing in 18 states. Experts say overall infections are still low, but Dr. Fauci with this warning.
It is likely that we will see a surge in the fall. These are uncharted waters for us.
As the virus evolves, so does confusion.
How concerning is this subvariant?
The subvariant should be very concerning for the following populations. People who are immunocompromised can't ever really mount a great immune response. That's about 10 million Americans.
Last week, the CDC cleared people 50 and older to get a second booster, but less than half of vaccinated Americans have gotten their first. One study shows the fourth jab's protection against infection wanes after just 4 weeks, but remains resilient against severe disease.
The vaccines are just losing their effectiveness. That's why you're seeing so many infections, even in vaccinated people. But what you're not seeing is as many deaths and hospitalizations.
A hopeful trend in uncertain times. Emily Ikeda, NBC News, New York.
All right, for more on the future of COVID and another possible wave, I want to bring in NBC News senior medical correspondent Dr. John Torres. Dr. John, it's been a while since we talked to you, which is a good thing, but now we need some guidance again. As Emily said, a lot of people close to the president have tested positive for COVID in recent days. What should our viewers know about this new strain, BA.2, which is thought to be driving the uptick in cases?
And Tom, what they should know is this BA.2 is a subvariant of Omicron. So essentially it's Omicron with a little bit extra in there. And that extra means that it's more contagious. And by some estimations, 50 to 60% more contagious, which means you're going to see people catch it more readily. And what we're finding out is we have these breakthrough infections like we saw in the Washington area, where a lot of these politicians are ending up getting it, even though a lot of them are asymptomatic, have no symptoms. At the same time, we know it's starting to move across the country. We saw it in the Northeast. Like we typically see these things start to creep up, and then it's starting to go, like you mentioned earlier, 18 states, and I expect it to be in all states eventually where we start seeing this rise in cases. But what I don't expect is a rise in cases similar to when Omicron first hit back in January, because at that time it was a complete variant that was different than Delta, the prior variant, and that was something that just swept through the nation, 800,000 cases a day. Right now we're still a little over 30,000 cases a day. We do expect that to go up, but we don't think it'll go up nearly as high. And the nice thing is, if there is a nice thing with this, is that the fact that it tends to be less severe, so we expect less hospitalizations and thankfully less deaths as well, Tom.
You know, at least 53 people who attended the Gridiron Dinner in D.C. have tested positive, but that number is likely to rise. We have a couple of religious holidays coming up that people are going to be getting together again. Should people be concerned?
You know, I think to a certain extent, they should be at least informed and concerned if they fall into certain groups. Now, if you're in an area where cases are starting to rise, as in the Northeast area or those other states where they're rising, and especially if you're not vaccinated, if you're immunocompromised, if you have other health care issues, then you're going to need to think twice about whether you want to go to those events, because what we're finding out in Washington is that event, it is spreading fairly rapidly to those people there, even though they're protected, they're fully vaccinated, and most of them probably have boosters at this point. And so look and see what's going on over the next few weeks. I expect this peak to go up over the next couple weeks and then come down fairly sharply, like we're seeing in Europe, particularly in Austria, where it's coming down very rapidly, in Germany as well. But in the meantime, look at your own status, look at your own vaccinations, look at your own population there. And if it's starting to go up, you're unvaccinated, immunocompromised, or have health care issues, then think twice about going to those events.
All right, we're back now with the Yakuza boss and his associates arrested in Manhattan. The Department of Justice saying they foiled an international plot to sell American weapons to foreign insurgents in exchange for drugs. New details emerging after the daring DEA operation. Priscilla Thompson has this story.
Tonight, an alleged Japanese kingpin and his associates are in jail, accused of plotting to trade U.S. weapons with foreign insurgents in exchange for huge amounts of meth and heroin. Takeshi Ebisa, who officials believe is a high-ranking member of the Japanese crime syndicate Yakuza, was arrested on Monday, along with 2 Thai nationals, according to a press release from the Department of Justice. The DOJ alleges that Ebisa was the central figure in a plot to funnel large amounts of American weapons, including machine guns, sniper rifles, and missile launchers to ethnic militias in Myanmar. According to the complaint filed in the Southern District of New York, a series of meetings took place across the world where Ebisa and his associates planned a complex exchange of weapons for heroin and meth to be sold on the streets of New York City. But their American arms dealer was actually an undercover agent for the Drug Enforcement Administration. Since 2019, text messages, phone calls, and in-person meetings were surveilled by authorities. In February of 2021, the Yakuza boss allegedly met with undercover agents in a warehouse in Copenhagen, Denmark, where he inspected an array of weapons, including anti-tank rocket launchers, machine guns, and automatic rifles. Ebisa, seen here according to the government posing with one of the rocket launchers, later sent the undercover agent a list of weapons and ammo he wanted to purchase. Authorities say in the complaint that the weapons were going to be sold to ethnic militia groups in Myanmar. The country experienced a military coup last year after Aung San Suu Kyi's party won in a landslide. Mass protests were quashed, but there's now widespread violence around the country. The weapons in this case expected to contribute to the fighting in a, quote, civil war against the current military government, according to court documents. In September, associates of the four-person conspiracy exchanged a $17,000 shipment of heroin in a hotel in Bangkok, authorities say. They confirmed the transfer via WhatsApp with the DEA agent. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams saying in a press release the drugs were destined for New York streets and the weapon shipments were meant for factions in unstable nations. Members of this international crime syndicate can no longer put lives in danger and will face justice for their illicit actions. Ebisa is now charged with narcotics importation, conspiracy to acquire surface-to-air missiles and other weapons, and money laundering. NBC reached out to his attorney, who said Ebisa pleaded not guilty to the charges and had no further comment. If found guilty, Ebisa faces up to life in prison.
All right, Priscilla joins us now live in studio. So, Priscilla, how much are we talking when it comes to drugs here, like that we're going to come into New York? And then I also understand you have some new reporting on some of the sort of the code words they were using. Yeah, so according to the court filings, they were referring to weapons as bamboo and drugs as cake and ice cream in their negotiations and conversations. And in terms of the amount of drugs, we are talking about more than 1,100 pounds or more than 100 kilos each of heroin and meth that they were planning to distribute right here in New York City, according to officials. All right, sounds like this is a major bust. Priscilla, thank you for that. Next to the latest in a story we've been following all week, the whistleblower who secretly recorded a New Jersey mayor using racial slurs and making sexist comments is now suing county prosecutors. He claims they are punishing him for coming forward. NBC New York's Jonathan Dienst has the details.
They cannot make decisions about people's lives and liberties solely because of their race and their gender.
Former Clark Police Lieutenant Antonio Manata alleges racial and sex discrimination were rampant in Clark Township and its police department.
I will tell you that civil rights violations were committed. They need to be looked into and they need to stop.
Manata is the man who made the recordings of Clark's mayor, Sal Bonacorso, and a couple of former top Clark police officials repeatedly using racial slurs. Governor Murphy in a statement says Mayor Bonacorso should resign immediately. His hateful language has no place in society, and his behavior has irreparably damaged his ability to lead Clark Township. To date, the mayor has apologized, but has not resigned.
And I'd like to apologize for the pain I caused to the residents of Clark.
Lieutenant Manata says the Union County Prosecutor and State Attorney General's office have been aware of the controversy for 2 years. Yesterday, Manata filed a federal lawsuit against the Union County Prosecutor's Office. He alleges prosecutors there retaliated against him for making the recordings, and he alleges prosecutors failed to promptly investigate.
Corrupt? I don't know. Did they kick the can down the street and ignore it? Yes.
About 2 years ago, the Union County prosecutor did take over the running of the Clark Police Department, removing some police commanders. But amid the growing uproar, last night the state attorney general removed the prosecutor's office from the investigation. That now it's the Office of Public Integrity and Accountability that has assumed the investigation into the leadership of the Clark Police Department and Township. Manata and his attorney skeptical.
Here I have the prosecutor's office engaging in whistleblower retaliation. I have the Attorney General's office failing to stop it. At this point, considering that there are obvious, significant civil rights implications in all of this, I believe the Department of Justice should be investigating.
Nobody has interviewed me about the wrongdoing, nor anything that's on the recordings. I've been interviewed about making the recordings because I was a suspect of making the recordings.
In his lawsuit, Manata alleges he was targeted because of a town policy banning recordings of internal meetings, and he says officials falsified his personnel records to try to tarnish him. He says he has lost job offers as a result and has been in limbo for months, unable to collect his pension until the investigation is complete.
All right, Jonathan Dienst is back now with his follow-up. So, Jonathan, do we have any idea how much money this town has paid in discrimination claims? And also, do we have any reason to believe the feds may now get involved in this?
First, on the claims, we know there are 4 or 5 employees who have filed complaints, and there were confidential agreements, so we don't know the dollar amount. We're waiting for the town council to reveal that. As for the feds, we know that the attorney for the whistleblower has asked for them to step in and investigate. So far from the Justice Department, no comment if their Civil Rights Division is getting involved.
All right, Jonathan Dienst for us tonight. Jonathan, we thank you for that report. We want coming up now the deadly shooting outside of a New York City high school. 3 teenagers shot. One of the victims, just 16 years old, losing her life. The urgent manhunt tonight. Stay with us. All right, we are back now with Top Stories news feed, and we begin with the manhunt tonight for the suspect in a deadly shooting outside of a New York City high school. Police say 3 teenagers were shot on a sidewalk in the Bronx. A 16-year-old girl killed and 2 other teenagers struck. They are expected to survive. Police say they do not believe all the victims were the intended target. Hundreds of thousands of people in Puerto Rico are still without power. The island's fragile electrical grid knocked out after a fire at a power plant on Thursday. Electricity is slowly being restored, and nearly 200 homes are still without water as well. Schools were closed for a second day. No word yet on when the power will be fully restored. And President Biden and Vice President Harris celebrating the historic confirmation of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson to the Supreme Court. In a powerful speech at the White House, Jackson speaking about the achievement of being the first black woman to serve on the high court. She also reflected on her own personal history and the future of the U.S.
In my family, it took just 1 generation to go from segregation to the Supreme Court of the United States. And it is an honor, the honor of a lifetime, for me to have this chance to join the court, to promote the rule of law at the highest level.
All right, Judge Jackson will be sworn in this summer after Justice Stephen Breyer retires. Now to the Americas, and we go to the U.S. border with Mexico, where more and more Ukrainians, yes, Ukrainians, are arriving every single day. Thousands waiting to enter the U.S. after the Biden administration promised to give refuge to 100,000 Ukrainians escaping the war. The surge expected to continue as more families take on what has become a long and expensive journey to safety. NBC's Isa Gutierrez has more.
Just 3 miles from the U.S. border in Tijuana, Mexico, nearly 3,000 Ukrainians will spend the night here, sleeping on mats on the floor of what used to be a sports complex, in hopes that tomorrow they'll get the chance to cross into the U.S.
We want to begin a new life in America.
The more show up, the longer they wait, some waiting up to 4 days to cross. Enrique Lucero, Tijuana's director of migrant protection, says 400 to 600 Ukrainians arrive to the city every day. That's up from about 40 daily when the war began in February.
Hemos tenido el pico más alto y esto pues nos generó un cuello de botella.
Lucero says this spike really began in mid-March when the U.S. announced it would welcome 100,000 Ukrainians to take refuge in the country this year.
Those who have made it across the border, I plan on attempting to see those folks.
On Wednesday, U.S. Customs and Border Protection opened a border crossing station exclusively for Ukrainians. Lucero says they're able to process nearly 600 migrants a day, but as the number of Ukrainians arriving keeps climbing, it still might not be enough.
Le vamos a dar unos días a ver si nos ayuda a bajar ese rezago que tenemos y si no, pues a lo mejor se tendrá que habilitar otra unidad deportiva.
In the meantime, volunteers like Alex Fedorchuk from Agape Ministries are here to make the wait more comfortable.
It is over here. We started to build beds outside. There's not enough spaces.
Alex bringing us inside the facility.
Over here, there's so many little kids and babies, and people are saying so many horrible stories, what they've been through. They've been through hell. And it is so hard for them spiritually, emotionally, and they need support. Over here, we have about 350 to 400 people in this area.
We have food, we have sleep. Yes, it's difficult. For us, it's difficult. A little cold at night, it's cold, yes. But, you know, we stay not dangerous. We stay without war because we think about our people who stay now in Bravary, in Kyiv.
These images reminiscent of Central American migrants in the past. In fact, this is the same building those in the migrant caravan of 2018 were housed before attempting to cross the border. The conditions may be similar, but Lucero says the journey to get here and the process to enter the U.S. is very different.
Por la manera diferente que migran a esta garita, como Centroamérica, Haití, o los mismos mexicanos, ¿no? Que llegan en autobús o hasta en caravanas.
In an effort to get to the U.S. faster, Lucero says Ukrainians travel by plane here, often stopping in multiple countries before arriving in Mexico as tourists. It's a trip that can cost $3,000. Not to mention, the U.S. border is still officially closed to asylum seekers from other countries because of Title 42, a COVID public health policy that the Biden administration has been under pressure to end.
Да, ну, сразу хочу сказать, слава Богу, что мы добрались. Бог нас хранил, благословил, и мы живы-здоровы.
And while for the thousands here, the end of their journey is within reach, volunteers are bracing for thousands more to come.
All right, Isa joins us now in studio. So, Isa, I know you mentioned it in your report, but I'd like to go back to it. There's a clear reason why these Ukrainians are trying to come to America through Mexico.
Yeah, that's right. It's because President Biden said that they'll be taking in 100,000 Ukrainians this year. This is a faster way to get into the U.S., Tom. It is a long waiting period if you're trying to seek refuge in the U.S. coming from Europe, typically. In this entry point right now of El Chaparral that you saw near Tijuana, right now they are 24 hours a day processing just Ukrainian migrants. That's what Lucero, who you heard from, told us. And by the way, that entry point had previously been closed. It was open this week just for these Ukrainian families to come through. It'll be interesting, Tom, to see whether in the future, when there are surges of migrants from different countries, whether the U.S. government and CBP will be implementing exclusive entry points like this one so quickly for them as well.
Isa Gutierrez for us. Isa, thank you for that. We have an update tonight on private travel to space. A SpaceX rocket taking 3 paying customers to the International Space Station in the first ever mission to do so. Our Kerry Sanders has the details on today's historic launch.
Dragon is in countdown.
Modern space exploration made a major course shift today. Again.
Ignition. Stop. Go Falcon.
The business of space moved one step closer to the domain of private companies.
That was a hell of a ride.
This mission to the International Space Station a first because the multinational crew are all from private industry. A company called Axiom setting the stage now for their own private space station. This journey designed to establish how the Houston company will use the ISS as a high-tech construction trailer. Axiom plans to build modules that will eventually become its own private office park.
Was it inevitable that private industry would eventually take over this part of space exploitation?
Inevitable. Yeah, certainly. The question is the timing. And I think that in particular, the U.S. government has worked very hard to kind of get this bootstrap, this idea.
U.S. and other companies under pressure. The International Space Station may burn up in the atmosphere as early as 2030. Helping fund this mission, 3 crew members paid $55 million each. But Axiom says this is not space tourism, rather a step towards a future with profits for private companies and unknown benefits for humanity. Kerry Sanders, NBC News at the Kennedy Space Center.
All right, we thank Kerry for that. When we come back, the deadly landslide in Colombia. Heavy rains triggering treacherous conditions. At least 11 people killed. Crews desperately searching for survivors. Stay with us. All right, we are back now with Top Stories Global Watch and the search for several people after a deadly landslide in Colombia. Heavy rains causing the slide about 40 miles north of Medellin. Emergency workers racing to the scene, at one point pulling a dog from the muddy waters. At least 11 people killed and a dozen injured. Most of the victims are believed to be workers at an unofficial gold mine. And we're also getting a first-hand look at some of the devastation in Sydney after another round of relentless rain there. This new drone footage shows an entire neighborhood submerged, homes and cars nearly completely underwater. At least one person killed, the city receiving a month's worth of rain in just one night. And all eyes on France ahead of the first round of presidential elections there. President Emmanuel Macron seeking a second 5-year term, but his biggest rival, a far-right candidate, Marine Le Pen, whose political party, National Rally, has received loans from Russian banks, is now just a few points behind in the polls. And if the polls are right this Sunday, she will face Macron in the second round of elections on April 24th. I'm Tom Llamas in New York. Stay right there. More news on the way.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.